Hey there, and welcome back to the show. I have an amazing guest with you today that is going to share her story of bossing up and how she helps other business owners boss up. Stefanie, welcome. So glad to have met you. We met at an event in Fort Lauderdale a few weeks ago, and then we were chatting just about what was her business, what was my business, just to kind of see what we had in common. And I wanted to bring her on to share her story and really these interviews are about how can someone who's done it help you do it? And we're not talking about the pretty little storefront stuff that's happening on social media. We're talking about spilling the tea, like the behind the scenes, the what's really taking place that you can't see. Stefanie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yes. So and it's confusing, I know, and I'm not going to correct you. It's just I'm going to let your audience know. I'm actually Stefani. It happens all the time. I'm Italian, and my family, it's just a thing.
I'm like,
But
tell
I'm Steph.
me that before. I've been calling you
I
Stephanie the
know.
whole
Have
time.
you? I'm
Yes.
sorry. I didn't catch it. I would have corrected you before the fact. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm Stefani. I'm an owner with my husband. We have two production companies, video production, and then we also have a media company and a recently launched podcast. And all of those businesses have been its own entity. We originally started out in Hollywood. My husband was behind the scenes doing production, video producing, working with his dad, who's an NHRA race car driver out in California. And I was in front of the camera. I was the Disney actress working with Comedy Central, 90210. I was working on all these shows. And when we met, we were like, hey, you do what I do, and I do what you do. We could start our own company. So I had a friend of mine at the time who was doing this web series when web series were really popular out in the beginning. And he was like, come on and produce this for me. And I was like, no, no, I don't produce. I'm an actress. I'm going to be famous. He's like, you would be really good. Just give it a try. So I was like, okay, fine. I signed up to do this web series with him, and we ended up selling it to Hulu when Hulu was just getting started. And we were the first independently produced web series to launch on Hulu. And I thought, okay, this is actually really fun. Maybe I need to shift my perspective on what I think my path is in business and try something different. And I was able to step into a different path into my life, and it started thriving. And then all of a sudden it started spitballing, and all these no's that I was used to hearing started turning into yeses. And I thought, okay, there's something here for me. And so my husband and I started this company. We started telling businesses stories. We started pitching ourselves to Fortune 500 companies. In the beginning, we were just starting out. So we pitched a few projects to them at $2,500, thinking, wow, this is a big deal for us. When these companies were getting pitched $60,000 to $80,000 projects, of course they all started saying yes. So in our minds, we were like, okay, how do we do the, feeling intimidated, stepping into a space, not realizing we were underbidding ourselves by quite a few zeros. But we got into this rhythm, and we started building up our repertoire and our portfolio, and we started working with big clients, and we loved it. And so I was able to still do behind the scenes stuff, voiceover and acting for clients and putting myself out there while also scaling our businesses. And so that's kind of in a short story of how, my path shifted from what I thought I wanted to do versus what I was meant to do. And it continues to shift and evolve as we grow. But it's been really a fun journey. And we've had a lot of hiccups along the way, starting our own business and what that looks like and how to scale it. And yeah, we have failed a lot, and we have learned a lot, and we have grown a lot.
So I'm going to dive right in, Stefani. I still
Yeah.
can't believe
Yes.
all the time. Even when put it out loud, I'm like, what? How did I not
I
know that?
know. No, everybody does it. It's okay.
Anyway, I like what you just said about what you were meant to do. Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
About how being in what we're
What you
where we are
thought
right
you were
now.
supposed to do compared to what you were meant to do.
Yeah. So as a kid, I had my own radio station, and I would interview my family with cassette tapes, and I was a performer. I like to tell stories, and I enjoyed this aspect of what I was doing to make people feel something. But I realized I could actually impact more people by helping others do what I was doing. So I had to almost go through this training process on my own to see what that looked like, to really grasp people's stories, to really listen to what people were saying, not what we're saying, but what you're not saying when you're saying it. And doing that, I had to do it myself first. And then I was able to help others do it. And to find that authenticity that people were missing in telling their stories. And I think that's really what set us apart as business owners and storytellers and content creators. If someone can come in and say, "Hey, Kim, tell me what you do," and you can say, "This is what I do," blah, 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 blah. Well, the other person's going to come in and say the exact same thing as you. So, what really gets into the nitty gritty is listening to what you're saying. And when you're telling me your story, okay, well, tell me more about this. Let's go deeper on that. Okay, well, tell me, what does this mean to you? Because we get stuck in this rhythm. We get stuck in what we think we're supposed to say versus what it is that really we're trying to say. And so you just have to turn that volume up on your ears. And you could share your story and I could help you dissect it in real time right now. We could really we could show your audience what that would look like. But I know that would take up some time. So I know you've got more questions, but if we have time at the end and you want to
Actually, yeah, I love
dive
like
into that.
being in real time and
Mm-hmm.
analogy speaking kind of say. But what you just said is like when you're like it's like this rhythm that we continue to do according to who? Like, is that just what society tells us, what our parents
I
told
think,
us, what we
yeah.
think they expect? So the way I'm
Mm-hmm.
understanding it is you're like, this is what is separating you from business success. This
Mm-hmm.
is why you're getting no's instead of yeses. This is what I am hearing. You're like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, you just shift this one thing and you will turn that no into a yes. It is what
Mm-hmm.
we did. It's what we formulated. It's what we have a process for. It's worked for us. We're now helping other people do it also. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So what is the hardest like what are they holding on to when you're working with them? Like, is
Mm-hmm.
it because it's a habit of doing it or is it because they actually think it's the right way to do it?
So there's a lot of things here, and we can give a few basic things people that can take home with them. I think now where we are with social media, everybody wants to see what is working and what is not working. And so we go to the data, we go to this algorithm, we look on what's trending, and then we mimic it versus taking a step back and saying, okay, I don't need to copy what they're doing to be successful. I need to find what I'm doing that makes me successful. And then you keep doing that. You rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Also, I find that businesses and people have a hard time putting themselves out there because it's scary and you have to be vulnerable. And that's terrifying for people because what are the haters going to say? Behind the screens, everyone's typing just ridiculous, mean things. And how do you not get swept under and caught in this tidal wave of toxicity on social platforms? So there's multiple things that happen. We had a client in Louisiana, actually. We did some content for him, and he was this big, big personality in this small town. And he came to us after a week of launching and said, "Look, people in the community are saying I'm being too loud, I'm too obnoxious, I'm too vibrant in this small town." I said, "Great. What I'm hearing is your community are seeing your video and it's working. It's not a time to get quiet and to fit into this mold. It's the time to change your community and keep being big, keep being bold." And in doing so, within 3 months, he scaled his business from 1 million to 14 million. And because at first people aren't comfortable with it, they see you as this person like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" First we are intimidated, then we mimic, right? So now he's this trendsetter in his community and he's changing the entire small town, and it's been a beautiful thing to witness. But it's pushing past those comments where people are going to judge you. People are going to have, they're going to tell you what their projections of you and your business are. And it's just being bold enough and confident enough in what you're doing, and that knowing that you're going to do something that's going to change, and just stick with it. Don't give up. Let it ride for 3 months and then go back to the drawing board. Say, this worked, this didn't work.
So what I'm hearing is the who is the environment society, like in general, when
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at social media and we are determining that according to the reaction from social media, like
Mm-hmm.
whether they liked it or didn't like it is rather I've been talking a lot about this and I love where you're going with the vulnerable and scary and the guy in Louisiana, because I am from Louisiana and I would love to
Mm-hmm.
say it is a Louisiana thing that he's experiencing, but I know better because I have clients all
Mm-hmm.
over the world and they are experiencing it. And
Everybody.
everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like the question that came up for me when you were telling that story is it's like they're like, why are you changing?
Yes.
Like, what's happening here? Like, where's the puppet show? Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? Why are you doing this? It's the
Mhm.
weirdest thing because I'm that person in my community. So you said he went from how much to how much? It was a pretty big jump from a million to 14
1
million
million. Yep.
to
1 million
14
to
million.
14 million.
14x like
Yeah.
what he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because bringing it back full circle to what you said earlier, what he was meant to do, not what he
Mhm.
was thought he had to do or was supposed to do,
Yes.
or was
Yep.
expected.
And he was doing lawn care. I mean, this is a 27-year-old man who has a family, 4 kids, and his whole family works for him in his business. And he was like, I don't know, I can't scale. I'm missing something. I said, you need marketing because he's doing the action, but he didn't have the content to really expand what he's doing to reach out to the masses. He was in this small town. So how did he get out of this small town and keep growing into the greater Baton Rouge area, into the New Orleans area? Now he's taking over Louisiana, and he started with just this lawn care company, and now he's construction. Now he just absolved another lawn care company, and he's buying out his competitors and growing. It's fascinating to see what you can do with a little bit of attention in the right direction, like intentional attention, not just attention, because attention's not going to scale your business. You need it to be intentional attention. Have these call to actions, make it organic. Nobody wants to be sold something on social platforms anymore. We recognize it. You see it, and immediately you're like, next. This is what we do all day. And so if you can observe what you're doing as your behavior, that is what your audience is also doing. And look at the videos that are engaging you as a consumer. What are you watching? What are you liking? And this goes into as probably a question that a lot of people ask, is following those likes and those views, and how do you not get sucked into the numbers game behind social platforms? And I really believe if you watch what we do, I'm sure you can relate. When I'm scrolling, I don't like anymore. I don't click the screen. If I like something, it's going to take a lot for me to like it. But people think they're failing because they're not seeing the likes numbers.
Yep.
So what you want to do, and that the reason why I think reels have become so popular, is because you can track the data. Now you're seeing your views, and your views versus your likes are always going to be an astronomical jump. So if you can see that you're getting, 10,000, 1,000, 100 views, and you're getting 1 like, 2 likes, you're still getting people watching what you're doing. If they're not liking it, it's okay. Look at the views. That's going to tell you how many people are actually engaging. Now, if you get 1 like and 1 view, something's not working. You got to go back to the drawing board and figure out, why aren't people watching these videos?
So it's like really determining where you're like that information that you are like most of the time turning against yourself,
Mm-hmm.
the inaccuracy of that data, or
Yeah.
knowing what to look for. Because
Yes.
like I was saying this yesterday, there's someone I know personally that had a few hundred followers, okay, and is in marketing and now has like hundreds of thousands, like really fast, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like confused, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that, there was like information exchange that it does not represent money. I just want to say that here out loud.
Mm-hmm.
That
Good.
the
Good.
hundreds of thousands of followers that they have suddenly attained, they have no money for a session that they were contacting me for to get through the blocks to make money. And I was like, oh, how can we get this message like even clearer? Because the
Yeah.
thing that's holding back or holding their confidence hostage are the numbers,
Yeah.
including myself. I
Yep.
was like,
Yep. Yep.
you know what? Sometimes I just want to hit low $50 to get a couple of likes. Like sometimes I need the dopamine hit. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if I don't have alcohol and I don't have food and I need something.
Yeah.
Give me a pat on the shoulder. Let me see a bunch of people saw it. Like give me something.
Yeah.
And I was like you said, intentional attention. Like I
Mm-hmm.
intentionally need someone to say, I like you, I saw you, and
Yeah.
be okay with that. But to think that it's going to equal money, to think it's going to equal clients, like, can we just like peel back the layers to
Mm-hmm.
see what's really happening and how we're trained to think someone is more important, more special or popular or more skilled because of the
Mm-hmm.
numbers on their social account?
Yeah, those numbers really affect people and really bad. So a few things that you were just talking about. If you see someone go from maybe 100 or 200 followers to 100,000 within a week, more than likely they're paying for those followers. And
100%.
the way to there are a few tricks you can look at. Now, I'm not saying go be a troll and call people out for paying for it, because it's the society we live in nowadays. Followers are important.
Mhm.
Now, if you're paying for it, you can look at the views on the videos, and if they don't match the followers, then there's something off. You can look at the likes. Now, people can pay for likes, and they can pay for comments, and they can pay for views. But what I've been noticing is when you start collaborating with other pages, then it kicks that off. So there's a girlfriend of mine who just recently did the same thing, and I was like, she's paying for it. And I told her, I said, you need to pay for your comments too, because if you're having 200,000 views on these videos and 100,000 likes and no comments, to me it screams you're paying for it. So I just kind of gave her a little hint. If you don't want this to look inauthentic, pay for it across all the platforms. And then what I noticed is she started collaborating with another business, and when she would collab, they would get 18 views and 3 likes, which again screams red flag that she's it shows me that she's paying. It just validates it. But I think where we are today, and this goes back on those 100 or 200 followers, I don't remember if it was Grant Cardone. Somebody said it at one point, and it's something I've been sharing with my clients as well. When are you in a room with 100 people? How often can you walk into a room and have 100 people as your audience hear what you have to say? That is still a huge number. 50 people. Have you ever been on a stage and talked to
Absolutely.
50 people? Like,
It's a big
it's
deal.
still it's a good amount of people. So you have a delicious audience of 200 people that are following you and enjoying your brand. Speak to them, coach them, sell them. Those are the people that are really wanting to see what you're doing. And so we just get so caught up in this 100,000, a million followers. Well, those people aren't converting to sales. If you have 100 people, you have an opportunity to have 100 real people that you can convert, and lean on them, ask them, talk to them. What do you guys want to see? What do you like? What did you like about this video? Really lean into your audience and let them help you tell you what they like about your brand, what they like about your business, and saturate those 100 people and turn them into leads. Because we have clients that'll have 500 followers and they're millionaires. And then I have clients who have 1 million followers and they can barely make 50 grand in a year. So those numbers can really, like you said, it can really get in your head and make you feel like you're successful or a failure. And it's just, I wish we could flip that a little bit, because everyone wants to go viral. You can go viral and have a lot of views and comments and likes, but you're not converting. And so that this idea of going viral is success, it's actually a big misconception. You've got to convert to be successful, not just have a bunch of numbers. Because if social media platforms shut down tomorrow, what's your business? Popularity, or are you going to still thrive?
Now you see why I invited Stefanie on this
I
call.
love you.
This
Thank you.
is so my message, right? I remember like 300, my first 365, $385,000 with no website. Like it was there, what an email list. Like what, well, I didn't even know, like I didn't even understand that. It was just serving people that I knew and giving them what they want, solving their problem and serving them well, and it's like that gift or that art skill set is being like put aside for this drive for numbers. And listen, I'm not going to say I doesn't play in my head. It drives me bonkers
Mm-hmm.
because like, what do we do about society measures if they're going to listen to us by those numbers? That's why I was tempted to go and do it and add the numbers, but I know it's not going to equal in the other stuff. But for me, it was like, is it going to validate my value because it's what they're looking for? Is that when you do it? Like, I'm asking this seriously because this is what I've been
Mm-hmm.
playing with and why I'm looking. And I knew those weren't
Mm-hmm.
real because they even turn off that you being able to see like anything, like where anything's
Mm-hmm.
coming from. But there was one that was not turned off and I looked at it and it was a language I didn't even understand. And I was like, I knew for sure. Right. So I
Yeah.
did my own digging, but it's because I'm working on this right now. I'm frustrated in society's response to the popularity that we all hate, but yet keep playing that game. And so I just tell my people, I was like, you have a group of people who already love and trust you. They're
Mm-hmm.
already listening to you. And if you can dial in on the message that they need to hear, like if you are in the auditorium and you're speaking to 100, how would you describe them? Where are they going home to? Where did they come from? Where do they like it and get in that relationship with them? You make way more money, help way more people, and create way more impact than
Mm-hmm.
if you are trying to get into the Super Bowl audience and try to get attention there, like try to get engagement there. So I love where you're going with this. So you're saying if you want to like have control of this, which I do think we want to have control, it's what are your habits? What are your watching and liking habits?
Yeah, mine personally,
Mhm.
I look for things, and this is also what I share with my clients, is look for stuff that adds value because we're mindlessly scrolling. A lot of us will utilize social media now to almost shut our brains off. We are so busy and so loud, and there's so much going on that sometimes we just want to sit on the couch and just mindlessly scroll. So what are you mindlessly scrolling? Because what you're taking in is what you're going to generate out. And it's really important to put a little bit of mindfulness in the mindless scrolling. So what I look for is are pages that are going to offer me value while I'm scrolling, and just sometimes I want to see puppies, sometimes I want to see killer whales, but sometimes I want something that's going to teach me something, maybe open up my eyes. And when I see something that I'm like, this offers value, what do? I start sharing it with my friends. I start sharing it with my community. I'll find so that little share arrow button, that little envelope, the little airplane looking thing, if you start sharing something, that is going to hype up that business's page or that person's page. So I start saying, okay, if this is my behavior, if I'm sharing instead of liking now, that's what I want my clients to do on my page. I want them to find value in my business where they think this has to be seen by other people. And what we're doing now is we're taking a non-social platform and we're making it social again. And it's just from sharing content. So that would be my tip is find something that you can, like for you, you do coaching, your business coaching, you want it to feel organic. What is a nugget of information that you feel is so impactful that you want to put out on your platform, and then go back and look at the data? And a lot of people don't look at data, but to me, I'm a data fanatic. This is where I want to see what's working. I go into the insights, and I can show, insights. You have to have your page as business, I believe. I don't think it can be like a personal or a
Right.
private
Yeah.
account. It has to be some kind of business. And so what I'm looking at is how many men, how many women, how many shares, how many comments, how many non-followers. I want to look at all of that stuff because that's going to determine the quality of the post I'm giving. And if there's no shares, that's okay because I also listen to my community. Who am I talking to in my friend circle that said, "Hey, I really like that post you made. This was really cool when you said this." This is so I start listening. It's not just on the social platform I'm looking at the data. I'm turning my ear volume up to see what people are saying around me about the content that I'm posting. I
Right.
really liked this, or that was really funny. So I'm like, great. Even if I'm not seeing the numbers, I'm hearing how it's impacting my community. So there's multiple
Mhm.
things you can do where you're not just stuck in this bubble of, needing to be validated in the likes world.
It is so tricky though, really. I mean, it goes back to middle school, popularity and the
Uh-huh.
whole who's going to make homecoming court and who's going to get voted the most likely to or whatever. So like
And who's
I
being
get it.
bullied.
Yeah, you're so stuck in it. So basically it's using the content to what you want them to do. So I
Mhm.
love all of this. It's not where I wanted to go. It's where we went because it's top of mind all the time. I love it. It's
Yeah.
great feedback. They're going to have amazing awareness from it. What I really want to know is how did you get where you are financially in your business? What did it really look like compared to social media? Like,
Oof.
because we see so much of the pretty stuff, but I like to say we go through this 8-year-old ugly, not that 8-year-old kids are ugly, but we go through this phase where the freckles come out, our teeth are crooked, our hair sticks up, our parents didn't they didn't get us a straightener yet. We can't shave our legs yet. Like there is this point in time where these weird body things happen and you got to go through the
Mhm.
phase. It means nothing. Ultimately, I'm telling you, a great pair of jeans, cute jewelry, and a straightener, eyebrow shaped,
Yes.
it does.
So
But we get
true.
through it. It's like I look back at
Yeah.
my first live videos. I leave them up because I want my clients to see how hard it was. Like I'm
Hmm.
still in the C- phase, but these were like D-, F, like shouldn't be on social media. Thank God it was 12 years ago. Got away with it. What did it look like for you? Like
Similar.
it had to be scary, right? Like
Yeah.
you weren't just like, oh, we made it. We're making all this money. We're helping all these people. It was such a great
Mm.
idea. Nothing bombed. How did it really go?
Yeah. It's similar. It's interesting because I still have that mindset. I'm really working on shifting it, but I think as a business owner, it almost never goes away. And I've been
Right.
talking and coaching other business owners who are more successful than I am. I'm talking like multiple more zeros successful than we are, and they have the same thing. I just watched the J-Lo documentary, and this J-Lo of all people is talking about how she's been faking it to make it and how she still goes into this imposter syndrome and how so it never goes away. It's just how are you going to show up every day in your business? How are you going to scale it? Because we've been through it. Like I said, we were pitching $2,500 gigs to people who were bidding 80 grand, and we were delivering this high quality content. We were Netflix documentary filmmakers. I mean, we've delivered amazing content, but we didn't know the game. So also in doing that, along the way when we were starting out and getting our business going, we worked on this amazing documentary with this A-list celebrity, which I can't state his name because unfortunately we went through this massive lawsuit. And I was working with one of my best friends on this project. We traveled the world. We worked with Oscar nominated actors and directors and producers. I mean, I was on the sets with people I had dreamed about being on sets with since I was a little kid, except I was in the producer stage and I was filming and making this epic documentary. And we wrapped up the project and it was just going to be a huge success. And my girlfriend sues me. She goes behind my back. She copyrights all my footage. And I'm like, this is not what we agreed to do. And I mean, I played a part in it too. Once I found out that the content had been stolen, I held on to the agreements because I thought this is all I have to protect myself that says I worked on this project. And so, it just got messy. And I think in business, relationships can get messy. And I learned from that day forward, I will never work on a project without a contract
Mhm.
because I trusted that these were my friends, that these were people I was going to be in business with. We were going to collaborate together. And I did not have a contract. And it screwed me over out of this project. Now, fast forward, to me, it was a very stressful time. My business was making money. I took all the money we made. I had to pay off attorneys and court fee. And I was like, this is not what business is supposed to be. Let's get back to the creative part. But we had to really fail. I use that term lightly because I no longer believe in failures. I believe there are lessons that we learn. And some of those lessons are harder lessons than others, but we're still learning as we go. My husband and I, like I said, we sold this documentary in Netflix. We killed ourselves to make this project, so much so that we hit a burnout. And I thought, this isn't fun anymore. We need to maybe leave California and find our creativity again. We get to Miami. We picked up and moved out of California. I was like, let's just try something different because right now we are so burnt out that we don't have the mental capacity. We weren't escaping it. We were already figuring that we needed to possibly leave California. It was changing. We moved to Miami, COVID hits. And I'm like, we're My Tai Productions. People know who we are. There's a big fitness community out here. Well, we had a huge awakening that nobody knew who we were. Nobody cared who we were out there. We had built our name in California, but now we're moving to a different state thinking we're going to dominate these industries. That was everything but what we had anticipated. So we hit rock bottom again. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? Why are we having to do this again? Like, I thought we were successful. Well, then we had to say, okay, we need to reestablish our name out here. So we started doing free work, which to us, a six-figure company at the time, we're like, why are we doing free work? We had this egotistical thing, like we're My Tai Productions. We're Netflix documentary filmmakers. We're Hulu. We've worked with Disney. We just left, anyway, the mind started kicking in on who we thought we were versus how our community perceived who we were. And there was a big disconnect. Getting clear on that was huge. And it took us maybe the first year and we had to reestablish ourselves. Boom, COVID hits. What do? We have a bunch of clients now and they're like getting fearful about marketing and video content. I said, now is not the time to pull back.
Mhm.
Everybody is on their phone, trapped in their house. Now is the time to double down. And the clients that doubled down on their marketing and their videos, they scaled. I'm talking astronomical numbers during COVID. And so it was finding people that trusted us and trusting ourselves along the way and knowing that what we're saying works, we're actually doing ourselves. So there's been so many lessons. It's hard to pinpoint just one, Kim, because there's been so many highs and lows in business, and just pushing through those moments and trusting that we know what we're doing and to not be our biggest doubters And to also push through our clients who are doing the same thing, like getting into the psychological patterns of where we are as business and just taking those leaps of faith and pushing through those boundaries that say we can't.
Mm,
It's a
mm.
lot of information.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I love this, because it's like, what do you want? And like, how are you going to get it? And who do you need to become? And what do you want to let go of?
Mhm.
I don't need to doubt myself. I'll just give that to the doubters.
Yes.
Like I can hand that off easy. So that's great
Yeah.
for all of you. Like just go ahead and give that one away and choose not to be your biggest doubter. Ah, that's so
Yeah.
good.
I mean,
I
we're
love
in
what
the
you
same
said.
boat right now too. Like we just moved from Miami to Destin, and here we are again. I'm like, what do we? And now my husband and I are like, we're doubting our whole existence. I'm like, no, no, we know what we're doing. It's just a different market. We have to figure out how they communicate here. We have to figure out because it's different. It's very hush hush here. Whereas Miami, it's flashy. In California, it's who do you know? And there's different pockets, and you have to be able to speak to the different audiences as you maneuver your business around because what works in one space is not going to work in another space. And just anyway, that's another little
Oh,
tidbit
no,
of
no, I love it.
information.
That's what I was talking to my
Mm-hmm.
team. Like, this is our focus for, we do these 90-day campaigns. Like we take deep dives and we're talking about like exactly this, the storytelling, how do you, like, how are you going to connect to particular people? Why you? Why
Mm-hmm.
now? Why this? And really drive in that audience of 100 people standing on the stage. And if you needed to connect with them, and if you leave room A and you go to room B, you got to become somebody else. You got to put on a different mask. You got to put on different stories. You got to so I love what you're saying because no
Mm-hmm.
matter how many times you change your niche or you change your town or you change your audience, you're going to go through this entire cycle every single time. So you're confirming that. I'm like, yes. And
Yeah.
you're confirming something else. No one knows or cares.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I don't,
No.
30 years, 30 years. No
Mm-hmm.
one knows.
No one knows
Yet
you.
there's an entitled part of me that's
Yeah.
counting the 30 years that they don't know about. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. I took Grant Cardone, Grant tells us have your one sentence pitch. So me, I'm like, I scale businesses 30% in the first 3 months with high quality intentional content. I said my spiel out here and people were like, oh. But in Miami, it was like, oh, tell me more. Like
uh-huh.
it's just that you have to find the different niche audiences as you go. And that to me, that's
Talking
been
to the
the
audience that was taught that so they all understood that. Like that
everybody
is
gets it.
sad. So gosh, how can
Everybody
we drive this home?
you just what it's observing and it's spending time in the community. Like now we're going and we're doing these business mixers because I realized I can't walk into a room and be this Stefanie version that flashy, and I have to be a person. I have to go back to being a human being around other people who are human beings who are coming to Destin to vacation to chill. They don't care. They want to know like cool. All right, we're all word of mouth. It's all word of mouth. Word of mouth. I'm like, "Oh my god, how am I going to work through this objection of word of mouth to people who have no idea they're sitting on a gold mine? If they could just tap in with some content and some social media, they will leave their competitors in the dust. And we just need to find a couple businesses who trust us enough to say yes, and we'll use them as case studies, which we've done in every demographic and market we've ever tapped into. Already we have one. We just did this beautiful real estate tour to sell this condo that's been sitting on the market for 90 days. We did a video tour, we ran a social media ad, the house is under contract in 24 hours. And I'm like, it
Boom.
it works, people. It works. You just, how do we convey that message that it works with different brains,
Yeah, so my everything, my right hand, my assistant, I've known her since she's born. She's my
Oh,
like she's the VA, she's the tech support, my everything
God
person
love her.
also does, yeah, also does our photo shoots. And so this was like
Mhm.
several years ago. I was like, hey, can you do a photo shoot? I was the person who didn't want to get behind the camera, didn't want to get in front of the camera, didn't want to get on I didn't want to do it. But I
Mhm.
was like committed enough to get this mission out into the world that I was like, okay, I'll do whatever I have to do. But if I tell you, I gave her hell like every time. And the one thing we had that we kept sticking to the whole entire time, you'll love this, is I needed to portray the story.
Yes.
I didn't want to be sitting on a tree. I didn't want to be sitting against a like I wanted the photo to tell the story. Like I just like, and I said, I think that's
Hmm.
what's missing. But I am what you're talking about that you're having to learn now. So I'm in rural Louisiana, 60 miles away from a Starbucks or a mall or in any direction. And everything has been word of mouth. Like I'm across from a crawfish lake in front of a hayfield, figured it out, had another location down the road, same exact thing, get to know them, get personal, solve their problems, do it consistently, be committed. It's exactly what you're saying. I'm talking in more in the hands-on service space. You're talking more on the marketing and digital space. Still the same thing.
Same
But
thing.
the getting to that point to be seen, to have to, that's the work. But if there's no connection to why should I trust them with to solve my problem? And I think it's what you said earlier, looking at the audience that someone else has and not knowing that audience is not buying from them. That audience is not even your client. That audience doesn't even have the problem that you think you want to help them. So like yours is so unique. That seed that's planted inside of you is for your harvest and your harvest only. And I think what you and I are saying and like continue to drive home with different languages, using different examples, different cities for you, different niches for me. Like, how can we keep saying this until there's a, oh, oh, I got it. That spiel
Hmm.
worked on that stage. By the way, we met at the Great American Speak Off. That's why Stefanie and I's connection with Grant Cardone, and she was one of the participants. She was braver than me. I was like, I am not participating. I'm not in this challenge. I am buying my VIP seat to go behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
we did two totally different approaches. I'm very excited that I did it the way I did. Kudos for you to getting out there though and getting clear on the
Thank
message.
you. Thank
Um,
you.
so what I hear both of us saying, I'll bring back in and then kind of hand it back over to you. I'm like, it's over already. It's the confirmation about the way to scale is through the story.
The story. It's so important. And so I tell people, this is going to go off topic a little, but it'll probably be a nugget that your followers can understand. It's the three E's when you're posting. Are you posting to entertain? Are you posting to educate? Or are you posting to do e-commerce? Get very clear because if you're just there to entertain, more than likely you're not going to convert in the beginning. Your stuff will go viral, you'll have likes, people will share it, it'll be funny. But then if you're entertaining, you're going to be looking for people who are going to do sponsorships with you, who are doing organic sales. Hey, look at these Apple AirPods. I just put blah, blah, whatever, you get the point. E-commerce, are you looking to bring somebody off of social and into your e-commerce, your website to purchase something? How are you going to do that? And then educate, again, offering value. Where can you offer value to your audience? And then offer something on the back end. So, and in doing all three of those, there's a story behind it. We don't, again, want to be pushed a sale. Nobody wants to be sold something on social anymore. It's in our faces everywhere all the time, all the time. And so, how can you make it organic? Well, you make it organic by telling your story. And for me, my story is fear, facing fear. Be brave enough to get on these social platforms, be brave enough to be judged, be brave enough to share your story. And I'm not saying like, hey, I'm a filmmaker from California. No, I've been dragged through the mud. I've been sued. I've faced my fears. I've purchased equipment that doesn't work. I've broken stuff on set. I've stayed up hours and hours and hours and hours to do free work to learn. I've been a PA for top production companies in the United States. Like, be vulnerable enough to share your successes and your failures because people don't just want to hear kumbaya, you're perfect. They want to relate to you. They want to say, how can I relate to you? How have you done what I want to do? And I trust you to be the one to show me how to do what you did. And I just got the chills. So that's obviously something people need to hear. But realistically, what why would people want to follow me? Well, I'm honest. I'm real. If something's not going to work, I'm not going to make you do it. If I'm not going to do something myself, you can bet your dollar I'm not going to make you do it. But I am going to push you. I'm going to push you to do hard things. I'm going to push you out of your comfort zone. I'm going to make you tell your story, to be honest and to be real, because people can immediately recognize when someone is not being authentic. Immediately, especially on social media. And so you have something to portray. So why portray a character when you can just be yourself?
Mm,
That is what's going to sell. That
mm.
will sell. And they're like on stages, for instance, we were in a room with 130 people. Some stories really resonated and some didn't. But I'm the audience for the people that it resonated with. You're not going to capture every single person that you get in contact with, and be okay with that. But the people you are going to capture, they're going to refer you to people that they believe you're going to capture. And then that word of mouth thing spreads. But just show up as yourself. Show
Mm,
up and keep
mhm.
showing up, and don't give up. I tell people, give it 90 days. Create something that's 90 days, see what works, and then go back and judge it yourself. But don't let the judgmental people tell you to stop and to give up, because they're going to want to keep you down. You're doing what they want to do, but they don't have the balls to do it. Be brave.
Quit doing what the 600,000 follower people are doing. Just stop it
Don't
already.
mimic.
I've done enough.
Yeah.
I've done enough consults with these people to help them
Mm-hmm.
break through limited beliefs so that they can make money, to know for a fact
Yeah.
like what is
And
going on.
if it
And it,
helps too, I have a PDF method. I've labeled it PDF. Practice, dive deeper, and then film it. So practice your
mm,
story. Just work out your story. Like, talk to your friends, talk to your family, and say, hey, what did you like about this? What did you not like? Start practicing it. Get in this rhythm of practicing your story. Then I want you to go deeper on the story. Find out what, listening to your friends and your family, where it feels like BS and where they can help you, like, create the story a little more, formulate it to something even more delicious. And then I want you to put it on camera, which is
mm,
going to be the hardest part. And then I want you to watch it, and I want you to rinse and repeat. Now I want you to practice this new story, and then I want you to go deeper, and then I want you to film that, and then do it again and again and again until you find this rhythm that works for you. And then
mm.
on the next story, do the exact same thing, but it's a PDF method and it works. And just get comfortable saying it out loud, get comfortable doing it on camera, get comfortable going deeper on the things with yourself. And one last thing, I'm sorry, I'm just like,
I know.
bleh,
I'm like,
but
I wish this thing was 2 hours long because we can
I
go
know,
all into growing your social media and your money
I
and your
know. So, but if it helps on the story, because people are like, well, what story do I tell? Brandon Dawson, one of my mentors, has this thought where you have breaking points in your business financials. When you hit your first million, you hit your 3 million, you're going to go through this break point in your business financial. You also go through break points in your life with your story. So go back and think about those points in your life where you had, it broke you, because in that part, like for me, it's this lawsuit, I have a story behind it, or it's facing my fear, there's a story behind it. And in that story is gold and knowledge that can help you help other people, because they're going through the same thing. So find those breakpoints in your story, and then let that, and then do the PDF method, go through it. And this isn't just social media, this is with any storytelling that you're going to do, and practice it on people. Why not? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, yeah. And if you want to know what the response is, Pat will say, like in the 10X stages, to do it in front of people on Zoom, like where they're all on the camera, and watch where they start getting distracted, and you will know where
Yes.
your story is breaking, where it is
Yep.
disconnecting from your audience. And it was like, that's so good, because I can see when I'm doing a workshop or a webinar and people are on there and all of a sudden the cameras start blinking off, and this is like, that's telling me something. Just like when your body
Mm-hmm.
has a pain, it's speaking to you. Your audience will speak to you if you're
Mm-hmm.
listening. I love this.
And
This was
listen for the
great. Yeah.
the people, we're in church, people are going to start,
Hallelujah.
ooh,
And like, wow.
amen, yes.
Yeah, amen.
and,
I
and
love
hold
this. I
on to
love the
those
breakpoint
nuggets.
story, connecting it to
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, who's also a mentor of mine, and then putting it into that PDF method. That's brilliant. I
Mm-hmm.
have two personal questions for you that I really want to get
Yes,
in.
ma'am.
We could geek out on this another day. We can give it, like, if you guys put it below if you're live on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, just send an email returning back. I'll put the link for you to have access if you want to speak to Stefanie more about what she does. But I have two questions for you that I want to know. How will you know that you arrived in your business? How will you know?
This is a great question, and I think, being somebody, I don't know if I will ever arrive. I don't know if that is something that's in my nature, because I always strive to be better, and I don't think it's ever complete, maybe until I take my last breath. But what I do want to say is, when I am on my deathbed, I want to look back and say that I've done everything that I want to do. And right now, if I were to die right now, I would feel like I've done everything that I want as of right now. But I keep raising the bar in my life, and I'll continue to raise the bar, because I feel like there's so much to do on this planet, and there's so many people to help. Okay, right now, if you were to ask me if I've arrived right now, it would maybe be at winning an Academy Award for a documentary that's going to help the masses. Because right now my audience is this, and I want to reach everybody. That it would be my goal currently. But once I hit that goal, what's next? I'm gonna want something else. Yeah,
What the way I see it is we can see what arrival is like that next arrival point. But if I asked you this in 2 years, it's going to be different for sure.
totally
It's like 10,
different.
a whole 10x theory. You're just going to keep adding that zero, which you
Yeah,
just do. But
yeah.
right now, at the point where you are in your day, you're like, I'll know I'll have arrived when I receive this award. Like that's a pretty big deal. Like
The
that's
recognition, maybe.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a whole story about myself on what I like the words of affirmation that I thought I never needed. That was stupid. I'm like, oh my God, this is so everything that I want and need. It's like, recognize me, see me, tell me. It's like
Yep.
I spent 55 years denying that.
I know. And
Okay,
you have to give it to yourself. You have
yeah.
to give it to her because at the end of the day, if you're waiting on somebody else to give it to you, you're going to turn blue in the face. You have to find ways to fuel yourself and find that stillness and really listen. One of the things one of my mantras is that I pray to talk to God and I meditate to listen
Mhm.
because so often we're talking and we forget you have to have this other side of it. You have to listen. That's to me what refuels my creativity. And it's really helped me in my burnout moments is just getting still and recalibrating myself and
Mm.
not expecting somebody else to do it for me. I have to do the work. I have to show up. I have to show up. And there's that fear, my whole signature talk is on fear because I've faced many fears in my life and I truly believe that fear kills more dreams than failure ever did. And
Mm.
and you have to get clear on what your dreams are and make them so big that there's no room for fear to creep in. Make them so big. We're not thinking big enough.
Oh, I agree. But it's so hard to see when you're in it and that like that
Mm-hmm.
looks like that's all.
The stillness. You just need the stillness. Be okay to be alone with yourself. If you can't be alone with yourself, there's a problem. Fix that first. Hear your thoughts, hear the things you're saying to yourself, hear the beliefs that are running through your mind, hear your mindset, hear the doubts, and then face them. Turn light. We're just in a dark room, just shine a flashlight on it. It's a simple thing, but we create this darkness to be this big thing where if someone would just crack the door a hair and be like, oh, there's light right here, it's not so scary.
Yes. So good. All
Thank
right,
you.
my last one. We're taking it
Yes,
home.
ma'am.
I'm like,
Okay.
I hate being on a time crunch.
I'm like, I can
If
talk to you all day.
I know, I'm like, we have to do it again. If you were to write a statement that would go in a time capsule to be found by a family member 3 generations from now, what would you want them to know about your mission and legacy? It would look something like she was the one who did or believed what?
Ooh, Kim, this is such a good one. She is the one who overcame her fears and did it. Whatever it is, she did it.
And you would
She did
want
it.
this 3rd generation from now to
I
believe
would
that.
want them, I would want them to know if they were coming from my bloodline that it's in your DNA and you can do it too. Whatever it is, it's in my blood, it's in your blood. And if we're all brothers and sisters created from two people, if we believe that, then it's in all of our blood and we can all do it. We just have to do it together. This doing it alone has got to end. It's intimidating, it's overwhelming, it's exhausting. We need people in our lives, we need community. And so I would want to leave the legacy that we can do it. I've done it, you can do it. It's in your blood.
Hmm,
A 5'2" female who came from nothing in the middle of nowhere can do it, then anybody can do it.
that is so good. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate you
welcome.
doing it
Thank you.
and
Thank
helping
you.
others do it also, like to give that that channel and that example in order
Mm-hmm.
to do it. I really think that's what it's about. And why I like spilling the tea on what it's really like so that that fantasy like let's shine the light on the fantasy, and this is the real thing. It's
Yeah.
about people. It really is
Mhm.
about people. It's can you relate and communicate, which is why what I loved about the whole speak off. Because if you can't communicate the message, there is no listening. We've got to make
Yeah.
it easy for them to listen.
And start practicing your story on kids. They're the best. They'll tell you if they're bored right away. And they'll tell you if you're lying right away. And you'll see it in their face. They're just, I mean, kids are so innocent and so creative and curious. Tell your story to a kid and watch them fall away within 10 seconds, or if you got their attention, and ask them what they thought and what they like. Because when you talk to people, you have to talk to them like they're children. Because we're all coming from different stages of intelligence and capacity to receive. And so if you can get your message clear to a child, then you can talk to anybody.
All right. We're
Okay.
going home. We got 1 minute.
Okay.
Tell them where they can
Okay.
find you. And I will put a link. So if anyone wants to
Mm-hmm.
contact you, we'll put something so that they can go and find you.
Yeah.
But I'll let you,
Yeah. Yeah.
where do you hang out? Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah. I'm on all
TikTok?
of them. I like them all, but my main thing, I love Instagram. So I'm My Type Productions is our business. We have Cashew Productions, which is our more corporate company. And then we also have My Time Media. Our podcast is The Shifting Focus. So you're going to be on mine, so you guys will get to hear Kim share her story a little deeper. But yeah, we're on all platforms.
Did you say my time? Like this is my time?
That would be great, but it's Mai Tai like the drink, but it's spelled different. So
My time.
Maitie production. So Mai Tai, Mai like the drink and Tai like the professional. We're business, but we're fun.
Aren't you glad I asked instead of just
Yeah,
assuming I did your name?
I love it. I know. And that's
All right.
sorry about the name thing. Yeah.
All righty, my friend. Let me hop out of here with the YouTube.
Okay.
Thank you guys for joining. Comment below.
Yes.
Stefanie and I will come back and answer your questions. You can address either one of
Mhm.
us there. Thank you
Yeah.
guys
Thank
for
you so much. Thank you guys.